What's up? What's up? What's up? We'll get going in a minute, see if a few more people will join us. But yeah, thanks for joining us or joining me so late. Please let me know if you can see me and if we're live. Please let me know. I always want to check in with you guys before we get going, so I'm not blabbing before people have a chance to see it. So please let me know in the comments if you guys can see me and if you guys can hear me. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, JerkTube. How you guys doing tonight? How do you guys feel about the game and the series clinching win? All right, let's get going. If people join, then the more the merrier. I know it's late, um, so probably won't have a lot of people because of the time and all that stuff. But let's get going. The Yankees did it. They took care of business. They took care of business. Much closer game than I anticipated. I think all the games were much closer than I anticipated. Uh, give some credit to the Royals. I'm not going to give a bunch of credit to the Royals. I don't think they played particularly well in any of the games. I think that the Yankees let them off the hook a little bit. But, you give credit to your opponent. They played tough. They made it close. I think that they pitched better than what I expected. Their offense did pretty much what I thought they would do, is not show up. That was not a good offensive team at all, and I think that bared itself to be true. If you listen to the podcast recently, we talked a lot about how bad the Royals offense was, and it was pretty much in the same category over the last 2 months as the Chicago White Sox. And in fact, in September, the Kansas City Royals offense was worse than the White Sox offense. So this was to be expected. The Yankees took advantage. The Yankees have a very good pitching staff top to bottom now that the bullpen has kind of filled itself out and figured itself out. So the Yankees took care of business. They did what they needed to do. But I do think we need to start with the ace, with Garrett Cole, who I know Tarek Skubal is going to win the Cy Young, and certainly deservedly so. But for my money, and also with the jersey that I'm wearing, representing the 4-5, the ace, Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole to me is still the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. And I think he would have proved that again if he didn't get hurt and start off in the middle of the season. He showed it again tonight. An incredible performance. I said on the podcast, I might have even mentioned it here, that I think he was the one player that was directly impacted by the long layoff. And you can always tell if something's off with Cole by looking at his fastball. Just pay attention to his fastball. If it doesn't have that ride or he doesn't have the command, then something's off with him. And it was clearly off in game one. And I think that was all attributed to the break. You can throw some bullpens, throw a simulated game, but for starters, that can only go so far. I think that helps hitters more than pitchers, especially starters. And I think that was the case with Garrett Cole. Tonight, vintage Cole, best player on the field by far. And he said, he said's not the right phrasing, but I guess it is if you want to speak of this figuratively. But he let everybody know that the Yankees were going to win this game if he had any influence over this. And he proved it. There was no way that Garrett Cole was going to come into this game and allow the Royals, also with a bad offense, as I just mentioned, to put themselves in a position to take this game from the Yankees. He just wasn't going to allow it to happen. And you could tell right away that his fastball was good. And I also thought Kansas City's approach fell right into his lap. Fell right into his lap. early aggressive swings in the count, hunting fastballs. I mean, just saved his pitch count that allowed him to go deep into the game. And I keep saying this about this approach. You're if it works, it looks fantastic. If it doesn't work, you're going to lose the game. And that's what happened tonight with the Royals. They were super aggressive. That was their plan of attack. I don't know if that came off confidence from game one or feeling like maybe he might be a little bit sharper than he was in game one. Whatever the reason is, that Kansas City approach helped out Garrett Cole and the Yankees tremendously. And then he took it from there. Fastball was great. Pitchability was great. All of his pitches were sharp. His stuff was really good. I thought he was tough in like some of the few moments where it could get a little dicey. I thought that he handled um the inning where the incident happened with Michael Garcia and Anthony Volpe that we'll get to in a second. I thought he handled that well, especially because he was definitely in the mix when things were starting to get a little dicey and the bullpen's cleared and, there was a meeting of the minds around second base. Garrett Cole was right in the middle of that shit. So even as he was shutting them down, he was also like, y'all not going to do that to my guy. You know, gave up the run, but also thought he was still in control. There was nothing about that inning that worried me. Maybe the Isbell fly ball, but then again, all the balls hit the right field again, knocked down. So you were going to have to crush a ball to right field to hit a home run. So even that one, it was kind of like, I'll believe it when I see it. And it didn't happen. Same thing with MJ Melendez's fly ball. Right field was you had to hit the ball like Stanton hit it last night to hit the ball out in right field. So Garrett Cole was tremendous. He was the best player on the field. The second best player on the field, Giancarlo Stanton. Can't say enough great things about that guy. He's their most important postseason hitter, and he's been that way since 2019. And I mentioned 2019 because I said this on the podcast. If Giancarlo Stanton doesn't get hurt in the 2019 ALCS, I think the Yankees win it. We never talk about that because he got hurt early in the series. But he was putting his stamp on that series until he hurt his leg. And every time that man is in the postseason and you give him some games to like playing, he shows up. 2019, he was impactful for a short amount of time. 2020, he was the offense pretty much. 2021, they weren't around that long, so it didn't matter. But I also believe that was a year when he hit all those home runs in Boston, like when they needed to get into the playoffs. 2022, I don't really remember 2022. Maybe that's he hit the home run in game 5 of the ALDS. Had some other hits in that postseason. Couldn't do anything against Houston, but it was Houston, so we get it. I mean, Hawkeye, I agree with you. If Stanton is healthy in the 18 and out, he's adding 18. So we'll add 18 and 19. If Stanton's there, the Yankees might be in one of those World Series. Like he's that impactful in the playoffs. And he routinely shuts down the idea of sitting him for someone else. I don't give a shit how terrible he looks like at certain stretches of the regular season. As long as he is healthy, he is your DH because at any moment in any game, he can change it with one swing. And he keeps doing it when it matters the most. He's a fantastic player. I know he gets a lot of shit. I know he's become one-dimensional, but he's like incredible at that one thing. And that one thing is the most impactful thing you can do in baseball. He carried the team. He was tremendous. He won a game and then today continued to rake. Like, I'm a big Giancarlo Stanton fan, and he's frustrating. We know why. He cost them some runs with his lack of athleticism in game 1. That's definitely a part of it. And there are times when he is swinging at pitches that are 30 feet away from home plate. I get it. but he also does what he does in the playoffs pretty much every year when he's healthy. He's an incredible player. He's an incredible player. And I think hopefully if this team wins a World Series, I hope that he finally gets the widespread respect that he deserves and that he's quite frankly earned as a Yankee. The only issue in him is his health. That man stands up and is accountable, just as accountable as any Yankee you can think of, both in the organization itself and in the clubhouse. Manager, coaching staff, GM, owner, fellow players. He might be the most accountable person in that entire organization, and there are accountable people up and down that franchise. He might be the most accountable guy. He's honest. He doesn't like bullshit. He might not like go into like great detail about things, but he calls things as he sees it. And he has conviction. And he has confidence. I think he's a great Yankee. As limited as he is in like the full total package that you would want from a player, he's great at that one thing, and he has great character. And like Juan Soto said, he's the second captain. And he's the new guy. You know what I mean? Like Soto's saying that as the new guy, and he's saying that about Stanton. I'm just like thrilled that he's having such an impact, and he's reminding people of how good he is and how important he is. It's great. Another person that I think needs to get love, Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes again with a fantastic outing, and it all comes back to one thing. We said this on the podcast today. You know, if you don't follow us or subscribe to the podcast, please do. Patreon.com/the views from 314 feet. Chris and I both spoke about this. If Garrett Cole was hurt by the break going into game one, nobody benefited from the bye more than Clay Holmes. There was definitely a discussion between Blake, Boone, whoever else, and Clay Holmes about Clay Holmes' sinker. Completely changed Clay Holmes' season when they had time to work on that sinker. You could just look at the usage over the course of the season and what it is now in the playoffs. There was a stretch where Clay Holmes was completely detached from his sinker. It was a slider, sometimes a sinker, and his command was inconsistent. I know there's some metrics that tell you that like he had good command, but like the eye test tells you that kind of numbers don't lie. Yes, that's true. But like you can also tell that a lot of the situations Holmes was getting himself into were connected to walks and just falling behind a lot of hitters. And he was like slider heavy. Yesterday, he threw 16 pitches, all sinkers. I don't know how many he threw today. I could check, but I'm pretty sure the majority of them, again, were sinkers. His sinker has come back, and they can't hit him. You can't hit Clay Holmes' sinker right now. It's unbelievable. Clay Holmes has completely turned his season around. He's back to where he was at the beginning of the season, and it's because of the sinker. And there clearly was an adjustment made during that bye. He's a completely different pitcher. Completely different pitcher. We talked about this on the podcast today, Chris and I, that the Yankees have somehow, in a short amount of time, developed a dangerous ass bullpen. And if you follow me, if you listen to us, you know that I was one of the biggest critics of this bullpen, rightfully so. But now I am totally giving it all credit in the world. Completely different bullpen since September. Soon as Weaver became the closer, de facto closer, since I didn't officially name him closer, but he's the closer, obviously. Everything has changed. And now with Holmes finding his sinker, you have Weaver, Canely, Hamilton, Holmes. You have at least 4 guys. And you have depth behind it. You have Tim Hill. You have Jake Cousins. Come on, man. That's 6 guys. 6 guys in short series that you can trust. And it worked out, at least in this round, because of the TV schedule. You're not going to really have that advantage as much moving forward. but they took full advantage of it in this series, and it boded well for them because the bullpen is a major factor in this ALDS victory. Just a fantastic job. Fantastic job. Blake deserves credit. Boone managed it really well. This is the best bullpen management we've seen from Aaron Boone since he's been here. Not only did every move work, but every move was logical. I don't think there was one move bullpen management wise where you could say, well, why is he doing this? Or I don't get it. Or, like there might have been one inning where he was stealing it out and it didn't work. But like even then I could defend that. Boone was great with the bullpen in this series, which needs to be lauded because that's not a regular occurrence, especially in the playoffs with Boone. He was fantastic. But it also helps, when every damn bullpen guy that comes out is doing his job. They're 6 deep. That's not even a full bullpen, but they have 6 guys that you can go out there and be like, okay, I feel comfortable and confident that this guy right now can get outs. Weaver, Holmes, Canely, Hamilton, Hill, Cousins. And some of those guys didn't even pitch that much. So they'll be ready for the ALCS with no issues. Everybody will be because it's Monday. But like these guys, some of them didn't pitch that much. Which again bodes well for the Yankees. People mention my guy Glaber. No, I didn't mention Glaber, but I will right now. Another fantastic performance from a guy that a lot of people in the fan base criticize, and in my opinion, criticize a little too much. Now, I was a little confident that Glaber was coming back next year. I think that confidence is gone. Unless this playoff run continues and it like convinces certain people in the organization that he's worth a certain amount of money. I'm not sure that that's the case. I'll just leave it there. I'm not sure that everybody in the organization thinks that the value and the production match. So I don't know if Glaber will be back. That's a conversation for another time. But right now, I mean, Glaber's one of their best players. He's been one of their best players for the last 2 months. Since the second half, he turned into the Glaber Torres that we've grown accustomed to seeing over the course of full seasons, whether people like his game or not. Keep saying he was their second best player last year. He was their best player when Judge got hurt. The year before that, he was really good. He had one stretch, after he almost got traded where he was kind of like falling off. But as we all know, Glaber's an emotional, sensitive guy. It's probably a flaw to a certain extent, but it influences how he plays sometimes. He should get better at that. I think that that's a worthy criticism, but he was fantastic. I mean, he set the tone right away. He scored the run that Garrett Cole needed to get going, to settle in and go after them. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say about Glaber. I think he's been great. And the good thing is that all the like boneheaded, weird, lack of focus plays have completely gone out the window. And he's played solid defense, which just tells me that a lot of times in the regular season, that shit just comes down to focus. Like the season is almost too long for Glaber Torres. You know what I mean? Like the just day-to-day demand of like focusing on every single play is just something that like Glaber can't do. But in the playoffs, when it matters, my man is locked in. He's been locked in offensively, defensively, not doing anything stupid. He's been great, man. He's been great. He's been great. Now, they're not putting up the amount of runs that you would like, but they did enough to win ball games. And Glaber's in the middle of it. Stanton's in the middle of it. Clay Holmes is in the middle of it. Luke Weaver is finishing it off. The starting pitching it was fantastic outside of Rodon. Clark Schmidt was really good. Garrett Cole was good and made up for game one. The bullpen has been amazing. There's so many positive things to take from this, despite all the games being close. But it's the playoffs. You know, I don't. Somebody can correct me, but I think maybe outside of maybe a wild card game, I haven't really seen a true blowout in the playoffs yet. There was the Padres beating the Dodgers 7-1. They dominated that game, but that's an out. It feels like that's an outlier. So like all these games, or I shouldn't say all. I just obviously gave one example, but most of these games have been close in the playoffs. There's been really good pitching up and down. You look at the Guardians Tigers series, good pitching, competitive games. They're close. Mets Phillies. If I'm remembering all the games correctly, all close. Maybe I'm missing one there. There might have been one game where it was kind of like a comfortable win. Dodgers Padres outside of the second game, I believe, they've all been close or competitive. Or had moments where it could be closer. I don't know. I just feel like this series kind of reflects what's been going on. Derek, need Austin Wells to get going. Serious problem. I disagree. Catch the damn ball, navigate the pitching. I know he's a cleanup hitter, but you have other guys picking him up. I don't see a serious problem. And he had a couple hits in this series. His function is to navigate the pitching staff in the playoffs, and he's done a magnificent job. I strongly disagree with that, to be quite honest. Like from the catching position, his priority is the pitching staff. If he contributes offensively, fine. But like Stanton's picking him up, Volpe's picked him up, Glaber's been hitting well. Like if we're gonna talk about an offensive problem, it starts with 99. But even then, he did better. He had the double, had a couple walks. He's close. I think Judge is close. I said that yesterday. I still feel that way now. I think Judge is close to. I don't know if he's going to be like 58 home run, crazy, insane pace, like hitting a home run every other at bat pace. But I think Judge is close. But for me, Wells, his primary job is navigating the pitching staff. I know he's a cleanup hitter, but like, even if you move him out of the cleanup spot, you're going to put him fifth. Like, and if he can contribute offensively, great. He had some hits. But I think if you're going to talk about the offense, it starts with 99 making like impact slugging wise. Because really, if there are couples, if Judge drives a ball in a couple scenarios, these games are blowouts. He was in a lot of those situations. Yes, Ed. I don't want to mispronounce your last name, but say what you will about Judge, but in the past, the offense lived and died with him. The rest of the team is really picking him up. Yeah, exactly. You're getting contributions from a lot of different guys. Anthony Volpe had a good series. Anthony Volpe hit well. Glaber again. Soto had a bunch of hits. Stanton, as we've mentioned. Jazz was not good. Jazz needs to pick it up. And I have no issue with the "you're lucky, they got lucky" comment. I mean, that was so like tame. I don't understand why Kansas City got so sensitive. That team, all right, let's talk about this real quick. That team turned real soft and sensitive real quick. Like they got lucky thing. Who cares? Like what? Why was that a thing? I don't want to. There were some Yankees fans that thought that was a thing and talking about bulletin board material and all this other shit. All you said was they got lucky. Like if that's going to trigger you, you should probably not participate in sports. Like honestly, who the fuck cares? Like he wasn't even like disrespecting the other team. He was, if you like look at the context of the quote, it was that the Yankees missed opportunities, which was true. If the Yankees cashed in half those opportunities, the Royals are blown out the frame. Like these aren't even close games. He was right. They let the Yankees have like 40 guys on base. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand the Yankee fan reaction criticizing him. And I certainly don't understand the Royals fans booing him. Like, are you serious? He didn't say y'all suck or y'all bums or like your third baseman's a soft bum or that your shortstop can't get a hit or that you have MJ Melendez out there and he stinks and this guy stinks and that guy stinks. He didn't say none of that. He could have because he would have been right. He was being nice. Like, what's the problem? What's the problem? And then the other thing is Michael Garcia's popping off on Twitter and telling people, SMD and being disrespectful to people for like no reason. But like, you gonna boo Jazz? Your man was wilding. See, the Bronx is coming out now because, like, what are we doing here? What's the problem? Michael Garcia was crazy. You talking about we don't fear anybody and like getting personal with people on Twitter. For what? And then he looks like a bitch in that play with Volpe. Late slide, gets a hard tag. Okay, so what? Man, just what? You're out. You're out. Like, not Volpe's not trying to like, that forearm wasn't intentional. Like, Volpe has absolutely no reason to like throw a forearm in your chest intentionally. It's just part of the play. Like, you slid late, you slid in hard, and Volpe had to keep the tag and also kind of protect himself. But then you want to get up and act like a tough guy. Be a tough guy and throw a punch. You want to ice grill him. He's like tapping you to be like, yo, no, like, no offense. I'm not, it wasn't intentional. I hope you're okay. And then he going to start acting like a tough guy. Get him out of here, bro. Hit the road, Jack. See you later, Michael. Bum. See you later. You out of here. You know what I mean? My man got super happy after getting a couple hits that he probably hasn't experienced all month in September. He's like, oh shit, I'm finally getting some hits. I'm feeling myself. Come on, man. Hit the road, Jack. We'll see you. KC fans booing Jazz. And then the Yankees mocked them in the celebration, booing Jazz every time. Come on, man. Yeah, Michael Garcia can enjoy that abomination they call Kansas City pizza. Come on, man. Come on, it's not that serious. Like, there's no beef with Kansas City. It's the playoffs. It's nothing personal. The one good thing, though, I will say about this, making light of some of this stuff. We don't have to see George Brett on TV anymore. Like, even Susan Waldman was like talking shit about George Brett. Come on. He getting shots from Susan. Like, we don't have to see George Brett anymore. Like, no more George Brett. Knowing how this playoff coverage is going, George Brett's just going to appear at Yankee Stadium in a suite, still talking shit about the Yankees. He's just going to be there, hating on the Yankees again, just for the fuck of it. That's another like side benefit of this ALDS being over. We don't have to see George Brett and his hating ass anymore, talking about he want to meet up with Craig Nettles and all that stuff. Nobody want to talk to you, man. We're good. We're good. We don't need that, man. We don't need that. But let's get back to the baseball. Let me know in the comments what stood out to you guys, whether it be a player, a play, how you feeling going into the ALCS. Who would you like for the Yankees to play in the ALCS? Please, let's make this interactive. Let me know what you're thinking. This is the Views from 314 Feet reaction show. Thank you for joining me. It's 12:22 on the East Coast. It's now Friday, October 11th. Some of you might be in different time zones, but thank you for joining us on the show. Sandy, I see you. What's up? So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. If anything else stood out to you guys that I haven't touched on or that we've talked about. Let's talk a little bit about the ALCS. I think it is a blessing for the Yankees that ALCS is going Game 5, especially if the Tigers win, because now Tarek Skubal is pitching Game 5. And if the Tigers happen to win, there's an opportunity for the Yankees to jump on the Tigers early in that series, and not have to worry about facing Skubal. Now, it could also backfire because I haven't really counted the days, but I believe Skubal would pitch game 3 if the Tigers make it. It's either 3 or 4. It's one of those games in Detroit. And if the Yankees split or like somehow lose the first 2 games of a potential ALCS against the Tigers, they're in trouble because they have Skubal, and then Skubal would probably pitch a game 7. They would probably face Skubal in a game 7. Derek, it's the Guardians, not the Indians anymore, brother. It's the Guardians. Let's call them what they are and leave that other name in the past, since that's what they did. Yeah, I think it's all good. It's all good, Derek. Yeah, so like if they face the Tigers, there is an opportunity for them to really take advantage of the schedule in a game 5 and like really put the Tigers in a chokehold early if it's the Tigers. If it's Cleveland, I don't really think it matters, to be quite honest, because I don't think their starting rotation's that good. Like their rotation feels piecemeal to me. Like it's Alex Cobb and Matt Boyd and Tanner Bybee, and it's like I'm not really concerned with any of these guys. I also honestly don't care who the Yankees play. I don't fear the Tigers in a 7-game series. I know they're hot, but I don't fear them in a long series now. And I especially don't fear them in the ALCS stage where they've been running their bullpen into the ground for I don't know how long now. At some point, that catches up to you. I think I see Tyler Houghton pitch every single day. Every single day. Every single day. Yes, their pitching is good, but like they've pitched a lot for a long time, and then they have to win 4 more games. They're not going to sweep the Yankees. So like they're going to be pitching a lot over a long period of time without an established rotation. I get why people would be concerned about Detroit, but I'm not one of those people. And their offense also stinks. Their offense stinks. They might get a couple big hits. Like if you give them a chance to like kind of sneak in and get a big hit, then they might take advantage of it. But their offense stinks. Riley Green is good. Kerry Carpenter is good, but you're not going to see him against a lefty. Who else am I supposed to be worried about? Parker Meadows is pretty good. Their offense is bad. And like we've been watching them in the playoffs in these short series where they can take advantage of it and also take advantage of the schedule. Again, remember the schedule plays a big part. It's not going to be the same schedule in the ALCS. So like you have a longer series after playing 2 series, one of them going the maximum amount with no established rotation outside of 1 or 2 guys, a lot of bullpen arms, and in close games, high stress innings all the time. I'm not that concerned about the Tigers or I'll say as much as anybody else. Like and I'm not trying to disrespect the Tigers. I think what they've done is incredible, but like it's different now in the ALCS. It's going to be different. You could be going 7 games against one team. It's not 2 out of 3. It's not 3 out of 5. And Skubal has to pitch on Saturday. And you only have a 1-day turnaround. The Yankees are going to be chilling for like the next couple of days. So they can line things up the way that they want to line it up. Their bullpen will be rested, fully rested. The rotation could go the way they want it to go. They're just in a better position. The Tigers and quite frankly, the Tigers needed to win today for, to just help them out. They're in a tough spot. So is Cleveland. Cleveland has a better lineup, and they definitely have the best player in that series with Jose Ramirez, who had a big home run today. That game's going to be fantastic. It's probably going to be close. It's going to be a nail biter. But I don't fear Cleveland either. The bullpen is amazing. So the game is shorter, but I feel confident against Cleveland as well. I just don't think they have the offense and they don't have the rotation. And again, it's a 7-game series. It's not 5. It's not 3. 7-game series are a beast to navigate, especially when you become more and more familiar with your opponent. They're tough. Not guaranteeing anything with the Yankees. I'm just saying that they're in a pretty good position. And I think either team that comes into New York on Monday is at a severe disadvantage right from jump. And the Yankees have to take advantage. They have to take advantage. Carlos Rodon will probably pitch game 1. He's going to have to be on his shit. Like, we can't go through what happened game 2 against the Royals. That's unacceptable. Again, I will say this again. He was terrible. Cannot happen again. Cannot happen again. Cannot happen again. Cannot happen again. I will keep saying that with Carlos Rodon. I try my best to be supportive of him. I thought he had a solid year. I didn't think he had a great year. But he needs to do his job game 1, regardless of who they play. And that nonsense that happened in game 2 with like the 4th inning where he completely lost his mind and forgot that he had to pitch, that can't happen again. That's unacceptable. The 4th star is going to be Heel, Hawkeye. It will be Heel, Schmidt, Rodon, Cole. Heel will be your 4th starter. There's no question there. There's no controversy there. They're just going to have to figure out how they're going to get Heel sharp to be ready for that start. What is the order? I'm not totally sure, but Luis Hill is your 4th starter. Nestor's not an option. It's Heel. It's not going to be Nestor. I mean, I don't even think we have a Nestor update. So it will be Luis Hill. And it should be Heel. I mean, there's no other. I don't even think there's another viable option, to be quite honest. Let's see here. Hawkeye, as long as Aaron Judge wakes up, I don't care who we face. None of these pitchers not named Scooble should scare anyone. I agree. I mean, Cleveland's bullpen is good, though. Cade Smith is good. Clase is obviously really good. Gaddis is good. They have a really good bullpen. So you ideally want to have leads before they start going into their guys, because that bullpen is legit. I wouldn't be scared, but also very much recognizing that bullpen is filthy. Like, they deserve the credit that they've earned over the season. Did Marcus Stroman even travel with the team? I'm sure he's there. I mean, they didn't banish him. It's just not on the roster. But he was there, because I saw him in the dugout a couple of times. So he was there. I mean, he's still a part of the team. Hawkeye, who's ramping up activity. Yeah, I mean, that's not really an update to me, because I don't know what that means. Like, ramping, like certain phrases are meant to like give certain impressions when in reality it's not what they say it is. So ramping up activity is like a vague term that, could mean a bunch of things. So yeah, I don't, it's going to be Heel. I mean, we even talked about it on the podcast today, and like Chris also said that it's going to be Heel. I think the question there is, when does he pitch, and like, how do you keep this dude sharp? Like, he wouldn't have pitched in 2 weeks. He pitched in the game against Pittsburgh in the rain, and he wasn't good, but it was also like raining and storming. And that's the last time he pitched in a competitive game. Now he's going to start in the ALCS at some point. So I think that's over the next couple of days, they're going to have to like figure that out. I think Detroit proved how human their bullpen is, to be honest. Yeah, they aren't to be taken lightly, but neither are the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, I see that, but also like they've seen that bullpen 100 times because they're in the same division. So they know those guys better than the Yankees do. And they've seen them more recently than the Yankees have because they're division opponents. So I think point well taken, but also there's some familiarity there. They know each other. So I think it's a little different. Gene, the only thing this team is missing to make me feel comfortable going to what's next is slugging. I mean, I get it. I mean, I get it, but um, they can very easily like just bash the baseball in the next series. They're very capable of doing that. They had the best lineup by WRC plus in the majors this year. So um, I think a lot of that slugging just comes back to Judge. If Judge starts slugging, then like the whole fucking lineup changes. Then like all hell breaks loose for the other team. So um, I get it totally. It's valid. I mean, it's stuff that I've talked about as well. But I do think going into it, the potential for them to start like driving the ball is higher. I think the longer they just go, they're just giving themselves more opportunity to impact the ball slugging wise. So uh, I feel confident going into it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I think Judge is getting close. Whatever weird shit is going on with him in the playoffs, like I think that's starting to change a little bit. He's taking his walks. He didn't miss that bad pitch that he hit for the double. I think he's close. He hit that ball hard yesterday. I said on the podcast that like he has to seize these moments because it's small sample size theater and basically just have to like will yourself sometimes to like make an impact at the plate. And I think he's starting to do that a little bit more. So I think the slugging is going to come against and also like Cleveland's rotation is not good. I mean, they might face Alex Cobb and Matt Boyd back to back. No disrespect to those two guys, but that may be the first two guys that they would face against Cleveland, which, you got to do a job in that instance if those are the first two starters you're facing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel confident. I feel good. I just feel good about the Yankees, period. Again, I'm not guaranteeing anything. They have to win these games, but like in September, I felt like it clicked for this team again. And I felt confident about them pretty much since like maybe the second week of September. I even tweeted about it that like I thought that whatever that thing is that brings a team together and they start figuring out and they're clicking, I think it happened this around the second week of September or mid-September. Something happened. Like that West Coast trip might have been the elixir for them. You're away from home, you're on the West Coast. You got to win these games to keep Baltimore at bay. And then they extended the lead. And it was like how they did it. I just felt really comfortable and confident. But I also think that coincides with the bullpen figuring itself out. I thought the low point for one of the low points for the second half was that walk-off loss to Texas. And then Holmes was still the closer for a little bit more after that. And then they just finally made the move and like everything just changed. To me, it was I think the catalyst for it was rearranging the bullpen. And then Hamilton got healthy. So you were addressing a need and also you were finally addressing a deficiency that had its caveats because I don't think Holmes was always awful when he was blowing his saves, but like just psychologically, you can't keep going through that. Like, I mean, just for his sake, for the team's sake, for the fans' sake, the organization's sake, like they had to make that move, and obviously it was the right one. It had to have been done. It was finally made, and then Luke Weaver fucking took off, and he's like one of the MVPs of this team. And I think when those things started happening and the Yankees started hitting a little bit more, it was just like, okay, I think this team can win a World Series. Sometimes it just works like that. Now they have a lot of work to do, but the Yankees are in the ALCS. For all the complaining that we all had at one point or another, all the trepidation, the Yankees are right back in the ALCS with a fantastic chance to finally get back to the World Series. Think about it. Your team is 4 wins away from going to the World Series. Finally, again, Not a guarantee. It's baseball. They're going to have a tough series regardless of their facing the Tigers or the Guardians. It's just going to be tough because of what's at stake. You know, you don't get that far, even in a down year for MLB across the board. You don't get that far by not being a good team. So, the Yankees are 4 wins away from going to the World Series. Embrace it. Be happy about it. Celebrate it. Like, it's okay to be happy about the Yankees. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to nitpick everything. We don't need to say, he didn't do this and who gives a shit? They're in the ALCS. It's great. 2 years ago, they were in the ALCS and people were excited and like, we won Houston, and then that kind of fell off a cliff super fast. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think that they're the team to beat now. The Yankees are the team to beat now. They've been the team to beat for a while now. And like, people resisted it because there's like this weird thing with some fans of any team, but especially Yankees fans, because just the sheer amount of people means there's more of these voices. But like, people, they embrace the fact that the Yankees were the team to beat. They're the team to beat, at least in the AL. They're the team to beat. Embrace it. Don't be, like overly confident about it, because that's not a guarantee of a World Series appearance. But like, these teams are going to have to beat the Yankees, if you know what I mean. When the Yankees played the Astros, the Yankees had to beat the Astros. They had to do everything they could to beat the Astros, and they failed. They're the team that, like, the opponent is going to have to do everything they can to beat. The Yankees have the bullpen now. They have the rotation, and they have the lineup. They have all the ingredients. They have all the ingredients to be a world champion. I have no problem saying that. It's true. Will they win the world championship? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But do they have the ingredients? Do I think that they're the best team left? Yes. I think that they are the best team. It's them and the Padres to me. And I think the Yankees could beat the Padres. But they have to go out and do it. And the Mets are hot as hell. That's a little different. The Mets are not the best team. They're the hottest team. They're insane. They're insane. I've never seen a team like go from this thing is over to we're going to get every big hit that you could possibly imagine in this short amount of time. There were very few times when I've seen that shit. The Mets are getting every big hit that you can possibly imagine a team getting in a short amount of time. And it's coming from all kind of people. Like, I definitely thought Lindor was hitting that grand slam against the Phillies. It was just like, this dude's going to hit a grand slam. They're going to win because they're hot. Like, everything is like breaking their way. But I don't think they're the best team. They're not. I would love to see the Mets play the Padres because I think it's the best team in the NL in the second half against the hottest team in all of baseball. Like, I would love to see that series. I don't want to see the Dodgers because I just want to laugh at them for spending $567 bajillion dollars to fucking lose in the NLDS. That's why I want the Dodgers to lose, just because I would think it would be funny. But like, I also would like to see the Padres and the Mets because I'm very curious about the matchup in which the better team is playing the hotter team, but like also the better team is almost as hot as the hottest team. The Padres have been fantastic. They've been the hottest team in baseball in the second half. So it's not like they're not hot either. The Mets are doing it more dramatically than the Padres, which catches our attention more. But like, the Padres have been hotter for a longer period of time if they can win their series against the Dodgers. But then again, the Mets are kind of at an advantage because they already finished off their series. We'll see. But to me, the Yankees are the best team. They have every facet of the game covered well. The Yankees won a series and Aaron Judge didn't do shit. And as someone mentioned earlier, they used to live and die by Aaron Judge. That man didn't do shit in this series. They're in the ALCS. and they only lost one game. And that game, they were flat. And they had a chance to like take an early lead, and they didn't, partly because Aaron Judge couldn't do shit. They're in the ALCS. The bullpen is like locked down. The rotation, I feel very confident in outside of Rodon. And the lineup's there. The lineup could crush somebody at any instant. Derek, why are the Dodgers struggling so much? They don't have pitching. I mean, I'm simplifying it, but that's basically what it is. Also, like, I think people have lost sight at how dangerous that Padres lineup is. That Padres lineup is crazy. I think half of their hits are extra base hits in the playoffs so far. Close to half of their total team hits are like extra base hits. They are crushing the ball. And part of that's because the Dodgers don't have enough pitching. Walker Buehler, obviously, is still kind of struggling coming back from the injuries. Yamamoto just came back from like his heart injury. Kershaw's not even pitching. Like, they had to go with an opener, and somehow they won that game just because like their offense carried them. It just comes down to their pitching. It's pretty surprising for a team that spent that much money saying, okay, we're going to take this gamble with certain guys who have like a long injury history, and lo and behold, the long injury history bit them in the ass. Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers for them it's a pitching thing and a pitching depth thing, and they have a ton of pitching injuries, a ton. Not just at the major league level, but on the minor league level too. I mean, it's just like everybody that pitches for that team gets hurt, it feels like. And I know there's some people that write for baseball publications who I respect a great deal, saying that, like, trying to defend the organization and saying that like it's not the way that they develop pitchers or their pitching philosophy, but like something's going on there. They have too many pitching injuries, and like significant pitching injuries. Something's going on there that I think that they honestly have to evaluate, both on the major league level and the minor league level. It's just a lot of pitching injuries for one organization to have in such a short amount of time. Like, in the last year or two, they've suffered tremendous pitching injuries that's really hurt them. Some of them is signing and bringing in guys that have that injury history, like a Glass now, like always bringing back Kershaw. Like, I think Kershaw pitched like 5 times this year, and that was it. And he didn't even come back till June or whatever the hell it was. And I don't even think he pitched that much. So yeah, that's the issue with the Dodgers. But going back to the Yankees, they're in the ALCS. It starts Monday. I don't care who they play. They should be the favorites. You should feel good about the Yankees' chances of going to the World Series. Going to be a dogfight, not going to be easy. Might end up like this Kansas City series where like every game is close, but they pull it out in the end. We'll see. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'm going to wrap it up. It's getting a little late in New York. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us and having this conversation with us. Depending on how things go, might do one of these after the first game of the ALCS. A lot of these games are like during the week, so it's like kind of tough just with like the timing and stuff, but we'll try to make it happen. If you aren't subscribed to the Patreon, please consider it and subscribe. It's patreon.com/the views from 314 feet. We appreciate it. I can drop the link in the comments just in case if you guys are interested. I always got to do the plug. I would be doing a disservice if I didn't. There it goes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for the compliments. I'm glad that some of you are into this, and thank you for spending the time since it's so late. Enjoy the win. Enjoy the wins. Celebrate them. You can celebrate until Monday. Talk your shit. Do what you want to do. And then we lock back in on Monday. So we will have a new episode of the podcast on Monday, and I will try my best to do this again on Monday, depending on the timing of things. My 49ers won too. They've been looking like shit. The Yankees win. The 49ers win. I know none of you care about the 49ers, but I care about them. They actually pulled off a big win against Seattle. So I had a good night. I hope you all had a good night as well because the Yankees won the ALDS. Enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in, and we will speak to you all on Monday. See you guys later.